dare you? How fucking dare you? How Dare You is the most aptly named comic I have ever read. Maddie, you might be thinking to yourself, this surely can't be worse than the comic where a young girl is bullied and abused into submitting to an older and more powerful individual, getting assaulted by him, trying to run away but being captured and enslaved by him, and even becoming pregnant by the man she refers to as the devil, right? I see your cry or better yet beg, and raise you the comic How Dare You. I don't know which was written first, but How Dare You follows Cry or Better Yet Beg pretty much beat for beat. But where Cry or Better Yet Beg draws the line is where How Dare You is bold enough to cross. That line being incest. Now, I've talked a bit about pseudo-incest in the past, whether it be from an adoptive slave brother you fall in love with to vague references of such, but never have I ever come across honest-to-goodness full-on incest. Until now. This video is sponsored by Unveiled. Unveiled is a platform I trust fully with my artwork. They offer an engaging platform for all artists, writers, and creators. You get to have a space to share your artwork, your writing, and even a space for world building. Unveiled is one of my personal favorite platforms for organizing my stories into understandable categories like character art, traits, and even what world they live in. I also have noticed that unlike many other social media platforms, Unveiled works really hard to get your artwork seen by other people just like you. I've personally noticed my artwork has a longer shelf life with Unveil as well, with people still having a chance to see my artwork weeks and months after I've posted it. I'd say one of the best features of Unveil is the never NFT and anti-AI policy they have in place, so you know the art you're seeing is made by someone just like you. This month is also Unveil's anniversary month, and to celebrate, they are hosting an event you can still join called Glitch in the Multiverse. These are a few of my personal favorite entries. Look how cute they are! With over 150,000 people on the platform, you are guaranteed to meet other like-minded individuals and artists just like you. Click the link in the description down below to join for free. Thank you so much to Unveil, and let's get back to the video. If you've been around for a while now, you may remember the comics The Dragon King's Bride and Can Love Blossom in a Poisoned Heart, written by author Kangi Jime. How Dare You is the third of their novels that has been adapted into a comic version. Our dear friend has a few running themes in their stories, such as age gap, vague incest references, dubious consent, forced relationships, the list goes on. But what makes this comic a step below the others, you might ask? Well, a lot. How Dare You is a romance comic about a young girl, Rahui, whose family is in a crippling amount of debt. Her last remaining relative, Aunt Sophia, is sick with tuberculosis and can't find a way to pay the money they owe to the bank president, Lawrence Debicki. With their backs against the wall, Rahui offers to become an indentured servant in order to repay that debt the family owes to Lawrence. Rahui is somewhere around the age of 16 to 17 when one day, Lawrence Debicki shows up at Aunt Sophia's doorstep demanding they repay their debt. When Sophia says her brother, Rahui's father, should show up any day now with the money, Lawrence informs them that he actually died, which... I worked at a bank before, and that was in fact not one of the things I was paid to do. Rahui overhears the predicament and offers herself to work off the debt, saying that she'll pay for it with her body. Yeah, you currently owe an outstanding debt of $97,648.69. Oh dear, how could I possibly pay that much money back? Well, money is preferable. I suppose I could pay for it with my body. By the way, your dad is dead. Lawrence, however, happily agrees to this and whips out some prearranged documents for Rahui to sign. Now, the reason I feel this is so important to mention is that he pretends to have never known she existed, even asking, "What's that?" when he sees her. This document is so expansive that later in the comic, when Rahui wants to sell the mansion she and Sophia live in order to pay off the debt they owe, she discovers a clause that says she can't do this and has to repay the debt as Lawrence sees fit. Now I pose the question, how did he have these documents so readily available for Rahui to sign her life over, having the foresight to possess her mansion while she's in his custody, all on his person, when he supposedly didn't even know she existed in the first place? To me, this seems very foreboding. No one just has paperwork like this on them. It implies one of two things. A, this is all an extensive scheme for him to marry her, which is absolutely creepy. Or B, this is a stock standard thing the bank regularly does. You go to the bank for three things: withdrawals, deposits, and impromptu indentured servitude. As Rahui looks into the eyes of her creditor, she thinks about how until now, she's never met another man as handsome as her father. Excuse me. Now, this is not the aforementioned incest I was talking about, but we'll get there, I promise. Aunt Sophia is not happy about this arrangement in the slightest. She thinks about how her niece is beautiful and Lawrence might harbor evil intentions. Lawrence puts her mind at ease by telling her he is definitely going to do the evil things to her and more. Wait, this can't possibly be true. Nah, man, it's right here in the comic. Huh, that's pretty immoral. Oh, no, they cover that here. Lawrence deflects his behavior by asking if there's anything more immoral than someone not paying back their debt. Maddie? Maddie? Nevertheless, Rahui signs the next 10 years of her life over to Lawrence, who says he'll take her the next day. He then goes to meet his friend Pierre and the king and princess of the empire, Charles and Catherine. Lawrence then sees a doll that looks like Rahui and buys it, thinking to himself how he will keep this doll away from everyone. Meanwhile, Charles thinks to himself that the doll looks like his dead mother. Charles is later revealed to be Rahui's second love interest. This is also This is also not the aforementioned incest. No, the incest is between Charles' uncle Pierre and his sister Catherine. The uncle and niece are actually the parallel couple to our main cats, Rahui and Lawrence, with Lawrence and Rahui learning from the uncle and niece that love conquers all and that real love never fades and should be explored, nay celebrated. I'm just gonna go out on a limb here, but making this secondary couple, the one that our main couple model their love and relationship after, an uncle and his niece, might not have been the best idea. Dare I say creepy? One of Rahui's jobs is to be a lady-in-waiting to Princess Catherine while the pair go to boarding school. Rahui is the sole person Catherine talks to and spends all her time with. While talking over whether or not she should break up with her uncle, Catherine asks, "Is my love a sin?" Yes. Here, Rahui tells Catherine that love is never a sin. I can think of a few ways love can be a sin, dude. Like, do I even have to give examples? My point here is that Rahui is definitely wrong. I guess that's why her line of thinking ends up with her marrying her creditor. I mean, her captor. The girls graduate from boarding school, and on the night of their graduation, we see Lawrence getting upset that Rahui is getting other male attention. He hates to see her talking to other people. He finds his emotions for Rahui vile and disgusting. Complete side note, if a guy is like having emotions for you but then refers to that as disgusting, total red flag. I don't think I needed to mention that, but because love is something that can be thrown away in his opinion. Lawrence thinks to himself that the only thing worthwhile in his world is money and objects. He's probably the type of guy to collect Funko Pops and then try to convince himself they'll be worth something in a few years. Rahui and Catherine then go to their graduation party, where Catherine leaves Rahui to go and be with her uncle. And while Rahui is alone, we get introduced to Sir Rapey. Why is he named? You know why. Miller is a reoccurring character, only here to show us that Lawrence isn't the worst that could happen to Rahui. After all, she could have married a rapist. Lawrence comes to save Rahui from Miller and take her back to his home. As the days go by, Rahui yearns for her freedom. She longs for the school days she once had where she didn't have to share a roof with Lawrence. We see her try to express her wishes to Lawrence, who shuts her down and reminds her that she owes him. Rahui mentions wanting to cut her hair, and since Lawrence owns everything in the kingdom, he has every hair salon closed until Rahui gives up trying to cut her hair, because he likes her hair long and he's a controlling freak. Rahui finds out she can sell her house and land and have enough money to pay Lawrence back with some cash left over, but then she finds her house is legally his until the debt is paid and is stuck with Lawrence, refusing to let her sell. When Rahui shuts herself in her room while having pneumonia, in order to kill herself, Lawrence lies to her friends and family that she's throwing a temper tantrum because she didn't get her way about the house, pushing her only loved ones away from her, isolating her from anyone she could rely on. When her Aunt Sophia thinks she might want to take a boat trip on the SS Titan, Lawrence pushes her to do so. Even while she was sick with a pneumonia, Lawrence refused to let her go to a hospital, instead opting to have her treated at their house. We watch as Rahui gives up on trying to escape Lawrence and instead submits to his demands, becoming a shell of a human being. The only joy she gets is from meeting a new friend at the market every so often. This new friend is Charles in disguise. We, the audience, are shown the contrast between the evil man and the not evil man. As I was reading, I thought to myself, surely this cannot be a romance between Rahui and Lawrence. No matter how much Rahui tries to run away, she is captured by Lawrence. No matter how much she wishes for freedom, it's squashed by Lawrence. She is cut off from everyone and has to rely solely on Lawrence. I am actively watching my worst nightmare play out, and the main female lead is completely and utterly powerless against her captor. And then it hit me. I was just crazy. This wasn't a romance, it was a psychological horror. I must have made a mistake and just assumed it was a romance. The only way this story makes any sense is if it wasn't a romance. Of course, it all makes sense now. Lawrence had been stalking Rahui with his evil intentions. That's why he had the contract with multiple contingency plans written up before he had even walked into the house to inform Sophia of the debt that needed to be paid. It wasn't something we just weren't supposed to question. It was a grim foreshadowing of what was to come. Of course! When I say this line of thinking was the only way I could stomach the despicable acts Lawrence was committing to Rahui, I mean it. The scenes in which we are supposed to see Lawrence as a human being, I guess, could easily be turned into a psychological horror.
Oh, Lawrence! The SS Titan sunk! I was mean to my aunt and I didn't even say goodbye. I should have wished for her happiness, but instead I was being a child.
Rahui, the SS Titan is fine!
Huh? But the papers said...
Yeah, they were wrong! It hit a rock and it's being fixed at the waypoint.
Oh my gosh!
I don't lie to you! I only tell you the words you need to hear!
Oh, Lawrence, thank you!
If you're so thankful, why don't you show me how thankful you really are? Oh, baby. Oh.
Now, let's show that same scene, but with the proper tonal shift.
Oh, Lawrence, the SS Titan sunk. I was mean to my aunt. I didn't even say goodbye. I should have wished for her happiness, but instead I was being a child.
Yeah, Rahui, the SS Titan is fine.
Huh? But the papers said...
Yeah, they were wrong. It hit a rock, so it's being fixed at a waypoint.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I don't lie to you. I only tell you the words you need to hear.
Lawrence, thank you.
If you're so thankful, then why don't you show me how thankful you are? Mwah. Yeah, baby. I like that. I like it good.
The crazy thing about this scene is that we never hear about the SS Titan ever again. And most importantly, we never see Aunt Sophia, who was on the ship, ever again. So Lawrence really could have just been lying and Rahui would have no idea. There's another scene where Catherine is finally running away with her uncle to America in order to be married to her uncle. Did I mention that? Because the pair are under close watch by King Charles because he doesn't want his uncle and his sister to get married. Catherine enlists the help of Rahui in order to help them escape. But when Lawrence is suspicious and stands in the way of Catherine and Pierre escaping, Catherine pulls a gun on herself and threatens to shoot unless Rahui does something to fix things for her. Catherine's a bad friend.
Catherine, please put the gun down. Lawrence, please let Catherine go.
You need to be more sincere when you ask someone for something. You need to move the other person.
I'll do anything you want.
What if I ask for your life? Is that okay too?
Yes, I'll give it to you.
Love, friendship. How moving! Let the princess go!
Now this scene is, I guess, supposed to show the sacrifices that platonic and romantic loves will do for each other, which convinces Lawrence to start accepting his feelings of love towards Rahui. But again, it just feels a lot different as a horror.
Catherine, please put the gun down. Lawrence, please let Catherine go.
You need to be more sincere when you ask someone for something. You need to move the other person.
I'll do anything you want.
Anything? What if I ask for your life? Is that okay too?
Yes, I'll give it to you.
Love, friendship. How moving! Let the princess go.
Of course Lawrence would let Catherine, Rahui's last close friend, go. Without anyone telling Rahui she's in a bad situation, Rahui will be all his to control. He even convinces her to give her entire body to him in return. Chat, do you think Lawrence is going to use his newfound power over her responsibly? No, of course not. Why would he? He does the same shit Matthias did in Cry or Better Yet Beg. I hate them both. I have issues. Now the only outside force Lawrence has to take care of is Charles. Charles and Rahui have been meeting up in secret to hang out away from Lawrence. Neither of them know each other's true identities, which leads to one of the most horrifying plot points of this comic. After finding out that Catherine's lady-in-waiting facilitated her escape to America with her uncle, Charles orders her to be thrown into the hell prison their kingdom has. Unbeknownst to him, the woman he threw into the hell prison is actually Rahui, who he loves so much. Catherine knew this would happen, but told Rahui not to worry because she knew Lawrence would come to rescue her. Lawrence, however, is mad at Rahui for trying to run away after he rapes her and lets Rahui sit in the kingdom's hell prison, not helping her. You might be wondering what makes this prison more hell than another prison. It's dark, and I guess it makes you go crazy. It's never quite explained, but essentially it's like their kingdom's version of if Alcatraz and a lobotomy had a baby. That's their hell prison. While Rahui is trapped, King Charles makes a deal with a neighboring kingdom to marry off Rahui to Sir Raby in order to facilitate a stronger kingdom. When he calls Lawrence to sign over Rahui's life and take her back to her house to recover, it is here, after reading the paperwork, that Charles learns he had just signed Rahui's life away. Aw man, how's he gonna date his mom now? Lawrence gets to Rahui in hell prison and tells her that the one who had put her here was in fact Charles, who sent her to hell. Because this prison is so bad, we learn that Rahui's memories are now completely scrambled. She forgets every terrible thing Lawrence had ever done to her and instead misplaces her negative feelings for Lawrence towards Charles. Now, I am properly horrified at the events that have taken place in How Dare You so far. As a psychological horror, I have been effectively frightened and disturbed. We have essentially witnessed a young woman fall into the trap of a more powerful man, which has led her to try to kill herself multiple times, as well as just completely losing her mind, all of which has been facilitated by her male counterpart. If How Dare You was a psychological horror, I'd say it's done a damn good job so far at evoking the proper emotions out of its audience. It's just too bad it's not actually a horror and insists it's actually a romance. So you might be wondering what could possibly happen next. Well, now Rahui has no memory of Lawrence having done any of the terrible and despicable things to her. From this point on, it becomes extremely unclear if Rahui ever regains her proper memories. While Lawrence does tell Rahui some of the things he did to her, she doesn't seem to care this time around. What am I to you? You're my guardian. Don't you remember me trying to oppress or own you? I even took your virginity as payment. I'm not some loving father or brother. You need to pay a fair price if you want something from me. Are you going to abandon me if I can't pay you? I will. Get out. I'll pay you. I'll do anything you want. Please don't leave me. I'm scared. Please don't abandon me, Lawrence. I want to stay with you until the sun comes up. Like, just because you can admit you've done something bad to a person doesn't make you a good person. For heaven's sake, Rahui is basically lobotomized from this moment on. She's not in control of her brain like she used to be after her experience in Hell Prison. Because Charles still loves Rahui, he changes his mind and ends up deciding not to marry her off to Miller. Instead, Charles marries Miller's older sister, who then facilitates Rahui into finally running away, leaving Lawrence distraught. Don't ask why she did this. The comic only spends like 2 chapters focusing on this entire plot point, and I never actually got to the bottom of why the queen did this. So Lawrence goes to find Rahui, who is now working as a commoner making bulletproof vests, okay, and is pregnant with his child. He finds her and convinces her to come back home with him. His heartfelt apology is enough to convince Rahui to leave with him, succumbing to her Stockholm syndrome. But upon arriving back home, Miller shows up and shoots Lawrence. In his dying breaths, Lawrence tells Rahui, his words, not mine, he doesn't regret taking her for collateral, or lusting after her, or keeping her in captivity. Barley, no! I don't regret sneaking into your house and watching you while you slept, or releasing your dogs into the woods so you'll never see them again. What? Or slashing your brake lines. I already forgave you for all of that the moment you threw me off your 3rd-story balcony. You promise you won't run from me anymore? No. I promise. Good, let's go home then. If you thought that was an over-exaggeration, you would be dead f***ing wrong. That actually happens. Then the pair fall in love and live ever after. I feel like I was flying through those plot points really fast, but this comic only has 42 chapters. My personal theory is that the artist was so excited about having a comic to draw art to that they didn't look over the story they'd be drawing until after they signed a contract. So then they speed ran through everything in order to distance themselves from it as quickly as possible. Hi, editor's note. I just wanted to pop in and say that this is definitely the case. I try really hard to get all of my thoughts onto paper before starting my editing process so that while I'm editing, I don't think of more things to talk about. But here, oh my gosh, the artist was so checked out while drawing. They really didn't want to be involved in this story in the freaking slightest. Like, there's so much dialogue I used instead of art because there was no art that matched what I was talking about in the video. I think I've used like more screenshots of dialogue in this video alone than I have for like every other video I've ever edited combined. Like, it was crazy just how little art there was to exemplify what the hell I was talking about. I think this is especially true, which is like exemplified by the uncle and niece couple, because genuinely there is only like 3 to 5 pictures of them in the same frame, which is wild because they are such a crucial part of the story, you know? How could we have ever lived without the incest couple? Oh my gosh. With every other case of Kongi's work, I feel so bad for the artist, dude. Like, it feels like they just hated this as much as I did. They're literally just listed as Bab. Do you think they want to be linked to this comic? Because I really don't think they do, honestly. There's like original story, Kongi Jame, story by Bab, and art by Bab. I'm just kind of confused. I don't know if Bab was the one who did the story. I don't know if they were trying to change things so they were listed as story, but I don't think Bab wanted to do this. It's It's really crazy to me that this wasn't just a psychological horror. Lawrence follows all of the steps of an abusive boyfriend. There are weird undertones, and the fact that a turning point in how he views love happens because of an incest couple is odd, to say the least. How Dare You seems to want to have the theme that no love is a sin, but then it turns around and rubs your faces in the prime examples of why some love is definitely a sin. You know what? I'm gonna say it. Incest? Totally a sin. Hope that didn't strike a nerve with any of you there. How Dare You feels like a psychological horror and not a romance. And I would even go out on a limb by saying, had it been labeled as such, it would have been my favorite Kangi Jame work. But it wasn't. It was a romance! The feelings and emotions they evoked in me would have been appropriate had it not been a romance. Now, on to my next review. Kangi's Jame's last comic. Oh my goodness.
Oh my god!
Thank you so much to my patrons, Izuma, Roses and Water, Lady Alpossum, Nowhere to Xander, Icy, TJ, Menti Williams, Char Char, Mira, Meep Cubed, Aleheart, Bean Dork, Anna the Giant, Abigail, Selena Beebe, Claudia E. Gomez, Blue Vamp Countess, Constellation, Pink Naya, Mies Coles Punk, Squidius, Kathleen O'Neill, Nevius Fox, and Punchy McPuncherson. If you would also like early access to my videos, as well as having your name read aloud and getting to see extra video goodies, you can join my Patreon for only $2 a month. Don't forget to check out Unveil on your way out as well.